Thank you, Honorable and other colleagues here. Satisfied.
Why is you satisfied?
I'm one of the beneficiaries.
Right.
I want to use myself as an example.
Please do.
I need something like a 7,000 Ghana cedi to establish my business. At the end, I receive a 2,000 Ghana cedi. It's choppable.
So you will chop it?
Yes, you chop it because it's not up to your business. That's what I'm. And the Ghana is saying we should establish.
Right.
Establish means get what the person wants to be able to get there.
Right.
So
you are the chairman. If you are complaining like that, I can imagine what you are.
Yes, I have thousands of complaints.
Wow.
Yes. Every day.
How is the money dispersed? Does it come monthly, weekly, quarterly? How does it come?
It's quarterly.
Okay.
By looking at it,
I don't know, but the assembly common fund comes every month.
No.
It comes quarterly, right? So
the last money that we just discussed recently, the 3rd December, it was
right?
It was years from 2000, last quarter 2016, who was paid last year January into our account.
Wow.
Just as much. It was disbursed recently the 3rd December.
Entitlement for December 2016 were paid last year 2018.
Including all the arrears.
Wow.
2018 January.
Okay.
It was disbursed in December.
I see. Mayor, why did it take so long to disburse this money? And by the way, this is a special edition of Community Connect coming to you live from the Ghana Society for the Socially Disadvantaged. My distinguished guests are the Mayor of Accra, Honorable Niachi. So also Mr. Anthony Mensah, the board chairman of GSSD. There's Joshua Makubu here and Mr. Elvis Alipui. We have a lot of persons with disability on the backbench. We'll get to them shortly, but you can always join us on our social media handles. And know that this program is supported by Sky and we're funded from WWUK and the European. Why does it take so long for the monies that are due them to come to them?
Well, let me explain that there's a national cake that is being shared. The District Assembly Common Fund receives 5% of the national revenue, right? And that is shared to the district assemblies across Ghana.
Right.
And 3% of what each assembly receives is dedicated to support people with disabilities. And as and when that money comes, we also disperse it. Indeed, there are associations from the district, regional, and national level are actively involved in the decision-making process. So when the money comes, they also come to the office. I met my friend here at the office on several occasions to make friends, and we meet all the time to have them. But it's important to note that it is as and when the money comes, we also do the responsible right. But let me add that a good friend indicated that the amount of money that they receive are set up to set them up may not be adequate. Right. I mean, that could be true, but this is a national being shared to a lot of persons.
Are they very aware of how much comes into the
They are fully aware. Nobody can hide it.
So if they know, why are they not carrying foul?
Well, I think it's point which we should argue that based on the numbers of people with disability in the country, and the percentage allocated to them may not be enough. But it is not the fault of the assembly that we are giving them money which may not be enough to set them up. Right. That for me is the argument that you want to put.
Let's go to Joshua. He's not had a word. Joshua, you've been advocating for this. We've been on this for a long time. Mr. Lipu, you've heard the mayor. What's on your mind at this point?
Thank you very much. And good morning to your listeners. When it comes to disability, and particularly the District Assembly's Common Fund, there's a policy gap. As we speak now, I don't know how government will empower persons with disability through the dismissal of the Disability Common Fund when the National Council on Persons with Disability in itself is not empowered. It's not decentralized.
The head is not available.
Yeah. If you go to their offices, it's an apology of an office space. It took the senior minister and the likes of Rambo to intercede for them to still be there. They would have been evacuated by now.
I'm not cutting you, but I went to the social welfare department just a few meters away, and they still had benches, secondary school benches, in that office.
Yeah.
That's their furniture.
Yeah. So
if these people are supposed to be protecting our social welfare and they are sitting on benches, then you can imagine what kind of welfare we're getting.
That's why a social welfare officer some years back asked me to go and learn tailoring. Little did he know that today, when I come to my village, I'll speak to him as a PhD candidate in finance. So that tells you how issues on welfare and disability are treated. Now, let's get back to the disability.
Forward march, what can we do? Forward march.
What we need to do is that the guideline you currently have now is outmoded. We're seeking a review of the guidelines, and it has not yet come.
True.
When the new government took over, the administrator of the Disassemblies Common Fund had a different thought. The vice president sometime in 2017 met us at a career fair. He brought a model that I was hoping that model would be pursued, which never came. I think that if we really want to empower people, the guideline as it is there, if we are talking about empowerment or capacity building, what percentage of the Disability Common Fund should go there? Setting up people to do business, what percentage should go there? School fees and academic support, what percentage should go there? Now, when that happens, to be able to set someone up, meet him at halfway, but it should be properly done. When you go to most of the assemblies now, the fact that I'm a person with disability and I say I want 1,000 cedis and they can give me 500 is enough for them to give me. At least they should come with business proposals. Or better still, the assemblies can design some forms. Then you pick it, fill it, tell me the kind of business you want to do. You have given me a fridge without even knowing whether I have a room or a source of electricity.
Well, that may not be the case. I mean, I know that if you put in a request, there's an assessment that is made by a desk, okay, and then it is done. So
I am also telling you some of the reports I have received.
Right.
Fine. If we are talking about AMA, we all agree that this is the national capital. Persons with disability here are more empowered than those in the rural areas. So in that case, before the person even goes ahead to make a request, the person will have done something. But in other areas, where some of us have gotten the opportunity to see what is being done, the assessment is completely out of it.
okay, let me come to you, Mr. Mayor, and let's talk about intellectual disability, as you put it some time ago. Do they get benefits under this current regime? The policy, the law, the 3%, do they benefit persons with intellectual disability?
In fact, the system has been so biased, and
you have to speak up a bit for me, sir.
the system has been so biased, and we have not been fully supportive of people with intellectual disability, and they are socially disadvantaged. But we also admit that even our friends who are physically challenged are complaining that they don't get enough. So how do you extend support services to persons with intellectual disability? I must emphasize that at the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, and my brother here could witness to them, that he's actively involved in the process.
Right.
But I will also admit that the funds that we receive is not enough to support them to meet their needs at the expected.
Have you raised this concern at the national table?
We have raised, because
what has been the response?
I personally have been a social worker for a long time.
But,
so
but
it's
what
an
I'm
area that
telling you when you
about
raise these concerns about the inadequacy of the funds that are provided?
Well, I think that what I'm following up, apart from raising the concerns, is also engaging decision makers on that process, so that our voice will be heard. And I'm happy to read my brother. Yes, we have not met before, but this my friend will be meeting quite often on some of these issues. Look, I run an autism center,
Right.
And I've been working with autistic kids for a long time. It took us a lot of hard work to attract technical support and later even funding from benevolent philanthropic people across the world to establish a center of excellence at Lashibi, where we even train caregivers, professionals, family, and all kinds of things. And I keep asking myself, who cares about them as well?
That's my question to you. Let's put the map of the AMA in our palm right now and look at all the public schools which are under your purview and ask ourselves, how socially inclusive are those schools in terms of ramps, in terms of toilets, that persons with disabilities should be able to access, in terms of books, in terms of braille, in terms of whatever it is. If you're born in this vicinity, for example, and you're thinking on top of your head, Bishop, Kanisha Anglican, you're thinking Awudome, Numo School and the rest in this vicinity, and you are visually impaired, you must count yourself out. I
must admit that with the improvement on infrastructure for persons with disability, this country has a long way to go. Indeed, our new AMA office is disability friendly,
right,
because we're mindful of that. Just a couple of weeks ago, at the La Paz N1 highway, where over 16,000 people crosses the N1 within an hour, and over 200,000 pedestrian activities is recorded within 12 hours. Meanwhile, pedestrian safety is not factored into the planning, much more persons with disability.
Okay.
We've just redesigned the La Paz intersection and then created pedestrian walkways, right, and then lower the curbs as well, so that persons with disability can cross the 14 lane from one end to the other. And this was done just about 2-3 weeks ago.
I remember the launch.
Exactly, because I'm personally mindful of some of these things, but I must admit that as a country, we have a long way to go.
What are we doing as AMA at this point?
And in addition to that,
I came here this week and saw Mr. Mensah. I was telling him that years ago when I used to come here, they didn't have ramps.
Yeah.
Even though they called it the cripples, so they didn't have ramps to access them. But now I've seen ramps and some improvement. Is it possible to have ramps in our basic schools, at least in our public schools, within your jurisdiction, so at least it makes things easier?
That's what I'm saying, that it's important that as a government, we also factored some of these things into our planning schemes. Let me add that in approving of building permits for in Accra, currently, what we do is that we need to assess some of these things, your permit, to ensure that it's disability friendly, right, before we approve of some of your building permits. But this is Accra, it's an old town, a lot of the structures are already in existence. As a government and as an assembly, we have to invest more in the infrastructure, which requires a lot of money.
Okay.
But currently, at the assembly, if somebody submits a building permit to us to build an infrastructure anywhere, as part of the requirements and the details for the works for engineers to look at, is to look at the details and see whether it's disability friendly. So going forward, we have been doing some of these things, but all the facilities that you are mentioning, I lived here a couple of years ago, right. That's where my family house is. So I know Bishop, I know everywhere around this place. And in the schools, we don't have facilities that are disability friendly, but we are working on some of these things.
Can we put a timeline to it? I like timelines. Gilbert will tell you.
It will be difficult. It will be difficult because when I have my budget, then I can give you timelines.
Okay.
Once I don't have my budget,
you don't have your budget.
It will be difficult for me to
we will talk about. I want us to pick a few questions from the persons with disability here before we come to you, Elvis, Joshua, and Mr. Mensah. But let's drift a bit. No, Chief, please give them a. Let's drift a bit. Let's drift a bit because you mentioned Bishop and everywhere else that you lived here. The AMA facility that was supposed to be built around was it Carnation number 3 or 2? There's a giant building that's sitting there. I'm just curious. The project is not moving on, it's stalled. What is it? What's happening? I'm just drifting a bit. Spend me 1 minute.
Let me admit that it's just lack of funds. But this year, we have put it in our budget to see to it, because at the moment, for a long time, the sub-metro that works within the Okankwi South, they are in a rented apartment. So there's a need for us to make sure that we secure our facility. And since I came, we are working towards some of these things. I mean, we are also encouraging and appealing to the citizens also to pay their tolls, their rates. Once you pay your property rates, you pay your tolls, you pay your business operating permit, we'll also get enough money to service you. If we don't have the money, it will be difficult for us to also service the people of Accra.
Right. Thank you very much.
Hello.
Okay, so we'll go to the crowd, and we want to hear one or two questions. We have a few questions on your mind. If Bright will take the microphone to them. Obiabe Kasa. Good morning. Hello. Nice. Okay, yentie mo aseme one the Kasa first. Me poba manakasa first. Yentie mo aseme. Questions munya nitiawa yempe preamble tin. Okay, quick. Bacho Kasa your friend saying.
Bacho your friend Gladys Agbenu.
Okay, your friend saying.
Gladys Agbenu.
Hello.
Hey, tree. Me Pacho like me. I'm not happy with the disbursement of the way it's being disbursed this time. It's like you've been asked to tell them what you need so that they provide you with it. And maybe you want to sell pure water. Pure water comes with a freezer, a shop, and electricity. And where you put the shop, and it keeps. No, social welfare say we should just say we want only.
This is 3FM 92.7.
One thing, and it can't be done like this to choose maybe, and I don't know I'll end the money. So we are pleading with them that they should new way of this.
Right, that's it. Let's hear from the man. You can speak down.
I'm Adakwa Anthony. Yes, Adakwa Anthony.
What's on your mind?
Wow, before.
This is 3FM.
Before I move on, I'm the regional president for Ghana Federation of Disability Organization. And I want to comment on how, yes, previously, the disbursement was in such a way that if you request for any particular item,
right,
you will be given either 200 cedis, 300 cedis, or 500 cedis. That is the maximum.
Any particular item?
Yes.
Wow.
But since these new directives came, I can for sure say that it has uplifted the image of the disbursement.
Right.
Because gone are the days if you request for deep freezer, you'll be given 500 or 200, which for that one cannot even buy the engine of the fridge safe.
Right. But now things have changed.
Things have changed.
Okay.
Notwithstanding that, there are some lapses that we need to fill that gaps. Yes. And I believe all this is as a result of some of my own colleagues who may not, on one way or the other, understands how we should be patiently waiting till it gets to a 10. Because when my brother Elvis was speaking, he made mention that he requested for 7,000 to make up a business. Yes, it's true that 7,000 could have been given to him.
Okay.
Whilst a lot of people may be also on a queue.
Right.
So that we will set him once and for all, and he may not come back.
Right. Okay. You're looking for one instance. Let's pick two more. You want to speak? Who wants to speak? Nobody wants to speak. The ladies. You can speak Chi, you can speak Ga, whatever you want to speak.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, boss.
This is 3FM 92.7.
My name is Mutala Mohammed.
Mutala, talk to me.
Yeah. Please, my only problem is the disbursement of the common fund at first.
Okay.
To go along with them, so that you choose what.
Okay.
But I do not know what they will buy for you.
Explain to me.
Yeah.
So you tell them you're looking for
what you think will be the best thing for you.
Okay.
Not they, but they will go and buy what they think is the best. Meanwhile, they are not going to use it.
Wow.
You see, and at the end of it all, and it will be, if it's not working well.
So if you choose a freezer, you'll be given a freezer. But you say that the kind of freezer that is given to you,
the type of freezer that you want.
Okay.
Though it may not be.
But if you fill the form and specify the kind of freezer you're looking for,
we do that.
Okay.
We do that.
And then what comes to you is not what you requested for.
There are some inferior things in town.
Ah, okay. I see your point.
There are inferior things in town.
Okay, so you're worried about the inferiority.
Yeah, because the moment they give it to you, that is all.
I see.
You can't go back and go and tell them that it has been given, it has been paid.
Wow.
Everything you do is nothing.
So your picture is taken.
Yeah,
and you become a star.
Oh, never.
Then your money is gone. Anyway, finally, let's hear from a woman. I thought Mikasa Mbaba was the mama, no? Obaba Kunkasani Mayor has to go because he has a meeting. He has to go. Okay, on your ready, a farmer, Papa, your person, Casa Bright. Give it to this man. If you are not ready, the man wants to speak. Yes, boss. Good morning.
Your friend me Abuna Emmanuel.
Okay.
Now, me send a scan channel. Baby, enjoy ye.
Enjoy ye.
Yes, because
Adentia.
Me say me a beneficiaries from district B. Na send a den corner equal say bia me pay bia sewing machine and now me pay bia freezer. If you understand something, Sama, Oak Chem says, Sky channel, without being a guinea. Now the Madia Mamma. Many Madia, me got to come fast and met Tardian and Minam and Sessa. Swat, I say,
Sessa.
Also, be I heard them now, Benza, Ebia, Mikoto, Adian Cotono, your best Sadiano.
Okay.
Maybe you can am dash.
Okay. Okay.
Well, you're one year Pijad near the show, Sama, Asa. Miss Edon Kobuka, I had a Scott before car cook your crew, baby.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's what he's saying. He's explaining to us that, for example, if you need a machine and you request for that machine, the machine is bought for you, whether there are installation costs or, if you like, how to fix the machine, those are not factored into it. Sometimes the transportation is also excluded from it. Quickly, around the table, we'd like to take a few answers. Quickly, and then we'll...
Well, let me say that the commendations from our friends here is heartwarming. That indeed the change in the disbursement of the District Assembly Common Fund is an improvement on the previous attempts that had been made. But they are requesting us to do more, and I've taken note of some of their concerns. I don't speak for all the assemblies in the country. So the examples that they are giving outside AMA, I will take it on board.
Right.
And then if they give me specifics, I'll share it with the chief executives in those areas, because we are obliged to comply with the national directive.
Right.
So we can't pick and choose that AMA will be doing differently and other assemblies will be doing differently.
Right.
Let me add also that yes, we profile each and every applicant that comes to us, and you tell us what you want. Note that there's a budget for everyone.
Okay.
So we need to look at the budget line, and then based on your what you have chosen, then we can also procure for you.
Right.
There's even a top-up capital that is also given, which of course I'm sure that the complaint would be that is not enough.
Right.
But that is also added to it so that if you say you are going to sell pure water and we are provided with deep freezer, you will be able to use that money to buy the pure water and then sell.
Right.
But now I've heard that we should also provide shops so that there will be a complete setup.
Right.
We'll take it on board and see how we can do some of these things. But let me advise that when you are making a choice, you should be mindful also of the challenges inherent in the choice that you make. I mean, some of my people have applied for outboard motor.
Outboard motor.
Yes,
from the small money.
Yes, from the small money. Somebody has applied for outboard motor, and we all negotiate with them all the time that this is the budget that we have. Can you wait if and then we get a bigger money, then we can do that procurement for you. We are not deliberately denying anyone who has applied, but based on the budget, and then we'll prioritize it. And as I indicated, over here we work closely with the association because they shepherd us, they guide us as to what we should do, and we don't have any preference in some of these things. So I'm happy that all these issues are coming out. What I think that we should be arguing and advocating for is that if we could also increase the quantum of funds that come
to you,
because if the numbers of persons with disability are increasing, and we want to even broaden the scope to cover many people that we are not identifying them, then it means that more money has to come into the system.
Agreed.
And the objective is to empower persons with disability, is also to promote inclusivity and equality in our society.
Right.
That persons with disability cannot be in any case be disadvantaged so that they become beggars on the street. That's not. In fact, I personally go around, when I meet people who are begging on the street and register them so that and I want to provide support to all of them, because there are certain locations which appears to be a prime area for begging.
That brings me to the question. I know you've been taking the beggars of the street. Where do you take them, considering the fact that we don't have the shelters? Where do you take them?
Well, what we started doing was to the fact that people who were using kids as tools for begging.
Okay.
I mean, it is not allowed in any way that you use kids as tools for begging.
In fact, begging is a crime.
It appears to be the trend now. You see their parents who are able, and then they will deploy their kids to the traffic lights, and then they will be begging for alms. These are our immediate target group of people, and they working closely with the social welfare. We have a Medina Social Welfare Center. That is where we take them to, and then they are profiled properly. Those who do not have parents, we work with them. In fact, there are some of them who are foreign nationals. We work closely with their embassies over here to see how, but the agenda, the objective is to integrate them into the society. So they take advantage of some of the social intervention programs that we have. For instance, we register them on LEAP, we register them on the National Health Insurance, so that they get those free services from government. That is what we started doing. But then I'm talking about adults as well who are disabled and they are begging on the street.
I'm asking that because I remember that after the June 3 disaster, following which you came into power, you had spoken about some 15 locations in Accra which were designated for shelters.
Yes.
I can name the parks for you. I don't know what has happened in those situations, and my analogy always is that if you watch American movies, you would see what the shelters look like, and knowing that you're a social worker, the quintessential shelter that we see is not what we have here. In fact, the ones we have here even don't get their location that they deserve to start off with. So my question again, where do you take them?
Well,
depending on
I've indicated.
Assume that this person comes from House A, they're registered with LEAP and all of that. Those who don't have places to sleep and all of that, where do you take them?
They are private shelters as well. There's one at Malam. There's one also at in Shayu Suduku constituency. They are big shelters. After the profiling of them, we also send them to those shelters, and then the Ministry of Gender, Women and Children, they take responsibility because social welfare is under them. They take full responsibility to take care of them. But I'm saying that we don't leave them at the shelters, but we integrate them into society by registering them on LEAP, registering them on their national health insurance, and making sure that they also take advantage of the FQ program. And if they are SHS people, they can also go to free SHS. That is for us what we are doing. I am concerned about also adults, adults who have made it their point to be at certain locations and be begging. And it's not a good spectacle for us as a city, especially when we have a fund, dedicated to empower them. And my good friend here had complained about it also several times. So they are here and they are even in support of our initiative to rid the city of the beggars, but integrate them into society. So what we do is then not to give just money to people or handout, but set them up. We have received complaints from your friends here that, setting them up is a good initiative. This, they haven't seen it before. They are happy about it, but there's more that we can do. I've taken that on board, and we'll take steps.
And that's a promise from you.
Of course.
One last promise I want from you. The last time we spoke, you told me that they will have night guards in Accra because the guards go to sleep, the people sweep, the people come and sell, they hawk, they make the place dirty, and the cycle goes over and over again. You named Circle, you named La Paz. When are we starting? It's like a year now.
Yes.
When are we starting the night guard? Give me a promise.
We have a 24-hour.
You gave me a promise to work on La Paz.
We have a 24-hour service at Circle. Unfortunately, La Paz is not directly under my jurisdiction again. I mean, just last year, around the same last year, a new municipality was created out of La Paz. So I can speak about my jurisdiction, Circle.
But in Nkrumah Circle, let's go to Circle then. There was fire at the Nkrumah Circle pedestrian market.
Yes.
And the cause is that there was a spark of fire. People were cooking in the market. Your regulation from AMA, right from Ajay Blankson through Okovanapur to you, says nobody should cook in the market with naked fire. People cook there, which is why the fire came up and you had to go around there.
Let me correct
because the night guards were not there, correct?
That is incorrect.
Okay.
It is also incorrect that what sparked the fire at the pedestrian mall is naked fire. I mean, the fire service report is available for all of us, to share. What happened was, a faulty diffuser that ignited and caused the blaze over there. It is also incorrect. We have 3 night guards in there, and they were the people who called the fire service. Indeed, our night patrol teams also at Kwame Nkrumah Circle were the able men that provided security around the place before the police came, and the police did also a marvelous work when they came to support them. These are facts, and I want to say that I want to commend.
So there are night guards at Circle.
Of course, they are,
and people sleep under the bridge.
I'm sure if you go there now, you will see that you will not find, I mean, Circle.
In the afternoon you will find them, because I drive to work at dawn and come back in the evening. I see them all the time.
Circle used to be a very terrible place, where it's like a no man's land. If you come to Accra, you don't have anywhere to sleep. You have under the bridges, all kinds of corners that where you sleep. But Circle is a major transit point in Accra. That wherever you want to go, I'm sure more than 50% of commuters in Accra use Circle as a transit point, and we can't allow that. And that's why we deploy more men over there. Some of the guys over there are very troublesome, and we are working closely with them.
I used to see the coastal guards in the yellow and black. They are no longer there.
That's
directing traffic and ensuring that people don't walk on the lawns.
The coastal guards don't do that.
I saw them there when the Dubai was launched. I saw them there.
Ooh,
I have photos and videos on TV3.
I wasn't in office by then, so I can't speak.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm grateful for your time.
Thank you very much.
And this is a very special edition of Community Connect coming to you live from the Ghana Society for the Socially Disadvantaged, formerly called CRIPPLES Home. The mayor will take leave of us because he has a very important security meeting, equally important, I must say. But still with me here is Mr. Elvis Alipu. He's the chairman for persons with disability in the Greater Accra region. With me also is Mr. Anthony Mensah. He is the board chairman of the Ghana Society for the Socially Disadvantaged. Joshua Makubu is here, and we've been joined now by the member of parliament for the Okaikwe South constituency, the Honorable Ahmed Atta is here. But I'm sure, Elvis, you had a few interventions to raise before Mayor took over.
Okay, yes, thank you. I wanted to ask Mayor talk about the gas. You know, I'm saying this because whenever you go to an assembly for any help at all, they will refer, when you are a person with disability, they will refer you to a common fund.
Okay.
But common fund is not the only benefit for us in your assembly or where you live. So where is Mayor is going to employ the person with disability to work with him as a guide and the others? Okay. I also want to advise that the procurement at AMA when it comes to disbursement of common fund is very, very, very slow. So I want Mayor to take step and work on this very seriously. There's an issue about design of how to disburse the fund. Yes, we have it. Also, we talked about the intellectual disability. How do they access the fund? Are they getting it? Yes, they are getting it through their parents.
Okay.
When you see their form, when I'm Elvis Alipui, I'm intellectual disability, I'll say Elvis Alipui 4.
Okay. So you guarantee for somebody, yes, everybody is covered.
Yes,
okay. We'll pick initial thoughts from Honorable Ahmed Atta, but first, Joshua and Mr. Mensah, I'm sure you will have a closing thought on the mayor's submission before we zoom into the next bit of it. The MP is here as well. Let me start with you, Mr. Mensah, quickly. What will be your closing thoughts on this particular subject of persons with disability before we have the main presentation by the
Thank you once again. I believe in solutions.
Tell me about that.
I remember years ago, Elvis and his team came up with a chalk factory.
Okay.
And they were supporting close to about 50 to 60 persons with disabilities. Now, we should identify workable jobs. I'm using the word workable jobs in quotes, where our brothers and sisters can be trained and be working as well. And we have termed a job bank. We should be able to have a job bank here in Kaneshie with the support of our honorable MP here, and I'll push him to support us.
You will?
Yes, I will push him to support us.
How do you intend to do that?
Oh, he will do that. He's a gentleman. He will do that. But he likes working.
Okay.
He's sold wood before. He's sold fabrics. He's been a tailor. He's been a carpenter. He has a lot of job in mind. So we think we should be able to identify projects that our brothers and sisters can do, as Elvis and Co did years ago. And I don't want to believe it's collapsed, though chalk is not being used as much as it was these days.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the job bank.
Finally, for me,
we should have a business desk with consultants, private consultants, to work with the Accra Mayor and the Department of Social Welfare. Department of Social Welfare. Why I'm saying this is government workers are restricted in doing things. So the private people in collaboration.
How are they restricted?
Yes.
Set guidelines for them to operate. How are they restricted?
Exactly. Persons with disabilities can't wait to come out to policies before they do what they want to do. As our friend said, Mutala said. So we in the private sector should be able to support them more. And how do we support them? We work with time. Most government workers go there now, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, they are not there. I'm sorry, but it's a fact, we all know. Fridays, they are not there, but we people don't work like that. So we are appealing to government. This is an appeal from the private sector for persons, for those of us working with them.
Well, I'm curious to know what the level of lobbying has been from your point of view, judging that this institution is 60 years and over. You have experience, you have expertise, you have a human resource. What has been the level of lobbying? For example, if you go to Parliament, the Gender and Women Committee in Parliament, for example, have you lobbied them to have these things tabled?
Master, we've tried several times and it won't work. We've tried, and I mean several times. So we decided to do our own thing by consulting people who really want to support them.
Okay, thank you. Joshua, I'll take a thought from you and then we'll go to the Honourable Member of Parliament. We'll hear his thoughts on a 3% Common Fund disbursement as well.
Thank you very much. This Assembly Common Fund for Persons with Disability started with 2% under President John Ejekum Kufuor. President John Dramani Mahama increased it to 3%, but it was never implemented until the presidency of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, when we saw the 3%. What has been the story so far? So I would urge government never to listen to any lobby or any advocacy for increment of the District Assembly Common Fund until we are able to conduct a research to account for what has been done so far, what has been its usefulness, and the way forward. That is the first thing.
Right.
Now, I am particularly happy and grateful to the new administrator of the District Assembly Common Fund that now we procure things for our brothers and not giving them money. But I want to add that the procurement of the items should be disability sensitive. You are going to procure items for persons with disability. Is it not possible to get another person with disability who has a business certificate who could supply those items? Then you give it to people who are not persons with disability. Then at the end of the day, money that is meant for us go back to those who are rather supposed to have been supporting us. Then what I also want to suggest is that, just as the mayor said, there will be the need for us to sit together and come up with an updated version of the guidelines for the disbursement of what? The Assembly's Common Fund. As it stands now, with what is currently happening and the guidelines that we have, there's what? A disconnect. So there should be a multi-sector stakeholder consultation that will bring together persons with disabilities, then the Ministry of Gender and Social Protection, the local government ministry, and the administrator of the District Assembly Common Fund to come out with a new set of guidelines. We want to see the National Council on Persons with Disability play a major role in this disbursement process. I've always had a problem with the social welfare representing us. And I also want to advocate that the District Assembly reps, especially the chairman of the Social Services Committee, it's not all of them who appreciate and understand what disability is. Before they go to sit on that farm management committee, they should be given some form of what orientation so that they can appreciate what is put before them.
Thank you very much. This is 3FM 92.7. It's Community Connect. We're coming to you live from Kanishi. My name is Johnny Hughes, and there's an outside broadcast. It's a very special one, funded by Star Ghana, UKA, Danida, with the European Union as well. And we're trying to find out some critical issues within this community, of course, with a special focus on the 3% allocation of the Common Fund, the disbursement of same. Joshua Makubu makes a very critical point that, well, until we increase the allocation, we must do a full assessment of how the monies have been applied. The 3% allocation has been applied, whether it's been misapplied, and so which is why we have a lot of leakage, or whether it's truthfully inadequate. But let me turn our attention now to the Member of Parliament for the Okaikwe South constituency, the Honourable Ahmed Atta. Honourable, thank you for your time and Happy New Year to you. Good morning. Can you use the microphone for me? Great.
Good morning, and you're welcome to my constituency, Okaikwe South. This morning I have my brothers and sisters here, and coming here has brought back some fond memories of this place. I started as an assemblyman for this area, and so this is one place that I used to come here frequently to interact with them, because then they were doing a lot of activities here in the area of dressmaking, shoes.
They still do,
you know,
bead making and all of that. They still do.
That is my area of expertise. So I used to frequent this place. I was in touch with them every now and then. I remember sometime around, is it 2003 or 2004, thereabout, through my initiative and President Kufuor, we donated over, I think about 150 wheelchairs to the institution, not just this place. There's another institution in Awudome that also takes care of our brothers with disability.
Okay.
So we did that, and then those times I used to support them small. I think times have changed and we've moved apart small, but with Anthony Mensah coming in to, champion their affairs, he's been putting pressure on me for some time now. And so rightly I had to respond and then come to their aid. This program is a very timely one, and it is welcome. I have heard the comments from the various stakeholders, and I believe that going forward, we also have to put in place measures that will ensure that their needs are met at the right time.
What would be your fair and unbiased assessment of the disbursement of a 3% common fund within your jurisdiction?
The way it has been done now, if it is followed properly and the funds released on time, I don't think we'll have much of a problem, because it involves them. They will have to indicate what they want, and then it will be acquired for them. The challenge is that, just like they are talking, they've outlined, sometimes some of the items bought for them, the quality is not the best, and sometimes they also don't get exactly what they want, and so that has been the little challenge. But if the funds were to be released timeously, I don't think we will be having these challenges. So I think it's all about the availability of funds and their involvement in taking the decision. But the gentleman by Joshua made a very valid point. Circulating money amongst them is very, very important. You understand? Our challenge is that sometimes when there's supposed to be some money that is supposed to come to their sector, it just hits their sector and moves away. As in, they have an allocation, the money is disbursed, and then the items that will be bought from somebody who is not within their midst, who doesn't have a challenge that they have. And he has raised a very valid concern. I think he should take it a step further. They should also look for suppliers within their midst who have the capacity and the capability to supply to demand, so that they can also lobby the assembly to accept these suppliers as their own and buy their items through them.
Okay. Interesting. Some 16 minutes after 9 on 3FM 92.7, and you can always join us the conversation via Twitter. I tweet at Hughes_on air. That's at HUGHES_ air. That's our Twitter handle. You can also tweet to us directly at 3FM 927, and we're coming to you live from Kaneshie. And tell me now, Honorable, quickly, I know that you have health key on the agenda because there's an ambulance that you donated to the Kaneshie Polyclinic in the first term that you were MP. In your opinion, is the Kaneshie Polyclinic fairly accessible to persons with disability?
Not really. There's a little challenge that we are still dealing with, and I think programs of this nature is what will help us shape the policies that we'll have to develop, and then get the manpower to implement these policies, to ensure that our brothers with disability are also given the needed attention and then the required support.
Right.
And so I wouldn't say, if I'm to give them a percentage, I would say they are just a little above 50%.
50%?
Yes.
What are we collaborating with them to achieve? From your office particularly?
As we speak, they haven't really brought any program in that regard.
Okay.
And so it has to be something that will be initiated by them. You see, the challenge we have as a society is that we are faced with myriad of problems.
Okay.
And so what becomes present is what you attend to. And so if they don't bring their issues to the fore, it will be difficult for somebody to just sit back and think that they really need help.
Okay.
You understand?
They need to speak up.
They have to. It is very, very important. And the Mr. Mensah, I know, I think he has relaxed small. He should be championing the cause more than he's doing now.
Mr. Mensah, have you relaxed? You have not relaxed. Can we give Mr. Mensah a microphone for me? Mr. Mensah, have you relaxed?
He has. That one he can't deny it. He has.
Politically, somehow.
Politically, you are relaxed.
Socially, no.
Socially, you are not.
No, I'm not.
Politically, yes. The says you are relaxed.
That is his feeling, but
what did he used to do that doesn't do anymore, which is why you think he's relaxed?
The zeal with which he engages people politically, like he said, politically he has relaxed.
Okay.
I'm not seeing that same zeal in this sector. It will inure to their benefit if he should, tackle it with that same zeal.
Do you visit them?
Oh, of late, I think I have not done what I used to do.
Okay.
I've not been quite frequent here. That I must say. I've not been quite frequent here because the challenges are many, and before you rise up in bed, the challenges are already knocking at your door. And so I've not been very, very current with them, but I'm really going to pay attention to them going forward now.
That's a promise, Mr. Mensah.
Sure.
How does that sound to you?
Great. It's a good news to hear from
it's good
the Honorable saying this because we've really missed a lot from him. As he indicated, 2004 is quite a long time. That clip is huge.
I see.
But I know maybe he was working underground to support what we do. Now that he's here, he's highly welcomed, and we appreciate his presence here.
I see.
And I know I'm going to put in the force that he wants, and with diplomacy.
Just to buttress the point that I'm really going to show interest here. I know they also have their own programs that they do, which I'm going to support in a way. I don't have a fund for disabled, but I think I can manage in supporting them from other sources. Today, coming here, I decided that I'm going to take the first step of showing my commitment to the center. And so if you look behind you, you see some bags of rice there.
We'll come to your presentation shortly. But let's go to the crowd one more time. More. Okay, say you have a microphone. You can speak English, Twiga, whichever pleases you. Let's hear from you, and this is coming to you live, 3FM 92.7's Community Connect from Kaneshi, the Ghana Society for the Socially Disadvantaged. My guests are the Honorable MP for Kanekoe South, the Honorable Admedata, Mr. Anthony Mensah is also a member, he is the board chairman, I beg your pardon, of the Ghana Society for the Socially Disadvantaged, and the Joshua Makubu is also here. He is a disability advocate. He's here. Chief, good morning. Nana, it's saying, okay, what are they saying?
Hana pay kaka hama me person the camera mention man tin say ya papa honorable amedata jeni no because ya na not much, but since I am here na doma nesaka akonja na watena so no like we yine nyama he kakra tisasanya no aso kase yes oba hache but kakra ha here me say ejumana yesia wa ha no say you see a Juman night you Bibi a use my crown, a yetting. Anna, and Pessoa baby, oh, when your store so you could see baby cry, a yetting so be a baby. And at the same time, can I share see no? Me and Casa make a say, New School, and I'm a call, can I see shower fair? Say, your baby at the container, AC, na ya juma. Ana omo kasi enko me ana me omo be share social welfare no my baby but emerge no kra no ento kwa be sisi chi say ayan for no kra say baby a me no social welfare dia ma hia no kra no sisi ano omo de ba rent he
ye fa
kana she ya social welfare ye we ya
cemetery hono
okay and to crack with baby. But I ran say sometimes Bibi or na or pese or monji and film but yes we use ya can one Bibi a bit me
okay
until I best be in pen from like I show say invitation or more bar no more chance on by Yamahano or more bar or more and even come on farm no crano. Ya chokwa eba nante ho saa wansanka ana obi owa obetena wonyanko bi ono betime age the whole time ni nyina bi yeso na wo nante ho saa ba kokra
obeji 4 quarters ni nyina
obeji ni nyina bi yeso na
adenti ana otumeji 4 quarters ni nyina
ano na emayati ase sisika no eba mpemfo na omo ankasa omo particular purpose a omo chase kan ma ho
ade a wo kan serious o
serious ba because
engineer so be na odi kasa adi
me ankasa manante ho kra che
engineer bida
ba ko kra me aba eso aba bebre je
e dey na wo tro se wo na wo pe
me yam pabwa
okay
enti no me tro se me PWDs ma chi yesa me de be ejuma
ne bo be yan
to say for now no me kita be say 3,000 krana but me dey atoto sa ma serious no na me dey baby but my nancy was up to date no me about cry
and I request you requesting that bang
almost
last year wow
up to this year cry my call
now call office right then no catch you
almost say a bar like
okay
but since last year up to date no into ya chemo ama no bia no de ya chemo an kaka ho
ba wo mo bia wenya 4 ni nyina
omo mo ko ekra no bebre ni yaye
nti wo anye bi
debida
okay me da say so essentially it's talking about the fact that he's trained he's been equipped and empowered but looking for a shop to establish himself has become difficult. And when finally the AMA granted him permit to have the access to put up a shop, courtesy the social welfare department, he had the owners of the land, which is the local authority, or if you like the chiefs, traditional authority, come up to say, well, they want to rent out that portion of the land. And he says that, well, when the political authorities like Honorable Ahmed Arthur come up during the campaigns to make promises to them, they want them to keep the promises because they want to be included, because oftentimes they are excluded. He talks about the fact that it's difficult to assess the funds because for 4 quarters, he's put in an application and he's not got even one. But he knows people who have benefited, people who applied at the same time he applied. And he says that, well, he had requested for some leather to pursue his sandal business, which was to the tune of some 3,000 Ghana cedis. He has not gotten that. That's a major concern. Nana Yentio.
Mabato, your friend is Nampuma. Now, the Kakra is a Nakana say, any year from our Kano, me doubt to Kakra, the chair say, Nyanka family MP, Honorable Ahmed. Say, we will be, that's all common chair, bound to be me I common from me did that. That's me mature the coil last year, mature the coil thing here electric machine.
Okay.
The commander me catch them Okohuno MP. me won't be any echo can handsome. But me call no tell my buyer no almost friend make a channel family corner me corner family ya me fabeka to be frank da buyer no call ba mo ka channel fair e bi ni de no omo me fa ka omo de omo e de no omo twe we di ntem nti me de no me nko akiri e ba me fabeka me de me ba nzem de comfort to me MP e ka channel bi fa me fair me call me fa kan o ka channel say me ya me ka channel say we fe no me call no mo say omo me fa ka omo de me omo twe me di dada no etino me de re ba akiri ana me ka sa channel so okay obi du du mama no etino aha no e constituency for upu bibi na for confront empia ba mo so be do enim aye ho adwuma na
say ko e no wonya
yes say tema ade no ye no make manfo mi di ankontem
udia no de ko da ben
last year na me de ko but omo ye omo ka tell me say
last year month ben
me from the
January I said last year January there 1 year 4 quarters abetwo mu ko
mi ni ono kompo di enim tema ye ko adabraka ehon ye kokko twe di ho ye kokko twe di ho ibi ono kompo ade le ba ye kompo ono me de pressure to no so pa ono ka tem fe mi nyanto biase na omo chichem etni bu ha yenzo be de e ba ye no ba bi fe bri ye kokko di ono de ono ka fe mi no to ono ya ba ha several times oya o fi nyanto ba be fe ko tem fe mi ko office ono fe
okay. But that's it very much. So what he's also saying is that he has applied for the fund. He has not gotten it, but he believes that with the intervention of the MP, and he came back to confront the MP that, well, for 4 quarters I haven't gotten any support, and he finds it, strange. So he went to the MP to confront him, like he says, and per the intervention of the MP, he has high hopes and believes that he will get the allocation, because he's been told by the office that his application came probably late, so there are people there who has to be sorted out before him. Yenti obaba akona afi madam it is saying
pacho yo
your first thing
pacho friend doche
mentio
Des doche pacho
okay kasa
me pacho me fa me kan nya common fans me kama MP no me pa mucho wo se omu ye we na se omu ye we no the
speed ramp
it is
an upper slab near now
pacho de do so u kokwa anwa
okay
guys no omu highlight so omu ye payment ni choma
okay
so your choma na cars no mo ha eti choma kaka no bi a otumi pu
okay Martin na kan she dey say na mo payment na store yi there anyway MP no be yano anyway me sure so baba ko betimi akasa kan ona sister e for saying
pacho e friend me Mary
okay
pacho
Mary den
Mary sewonu
okay sewonu ni doche okay
pacho me pese me kasa kakra fa komo fan
okay kasa
me pacho komo fan e ba e no mu ma yeti asese scanner e ba e no nipa ba ko betumi anya be 50 million na su ya e wo to inside no omu si ye ncho ade ayepe
okay
enti ye cho sewing machine overlock machine any meat machine
okay ni na be ahe
ni na ye me san
but ni nyina ne bo ne be ahe
sewing machine ni die ba ku de me say no ye 1.5
okay
but in kai ni die ni boy de na me ye say bi o be 13 million
ni say pe ni say bi wa pom ade da nti
15 million ni ade and so scanning be wie no normal koto sewing machine ba ku 1.5 no mo de amount timpacho me pese mu hwe ehon mai kakra
me 1.5 ni 1005 Ghana cedis ubon iska kese sa na omo obioti okay. Let's come to the table now. Honorable, a few concerns here. Okay. Your intervention, I'd like to, that's a pick from your intervention. This man said he has put in an application, and even though he has not gotten the allocation, per your intervention, he has hopes that he will get the money. What magic did you do?
Okay, Johnny. Let me just put in a little advice here. You see, this is a system.
Okay.
That you have to apply to. When you are applying to the for the common fund,
okay,
and your information you give is not so accurate, you will have a challenge assessing it. When you say you want the district assembly to buy leather for you.
Okay.
They won't know the type of leather you need.
Right.
You understand? We have leather that we use for sofas.
Okay.
And then we have the type of leather we use for sandals and shoes. They are not the same. And so my advice is that sometimes when you want to apply for support, don't go applying for the materials that you will use for your business.
Okay.
Apply for the machinery. Because material, somebody will use his or her discretion in that area, and probably what they will buy for you is not what you want.
But my brother here said that they were told that they will be taken to the market to assess what products they are looking for.
Who will do that?
Well, he says that was the promise that was made. Was that not what you said?
Yeah, that's what I said. That's what they told us in the office there.
Yes, I'm saying they told you that, but who will do that?
Whenever it's ready, they'll come and pick. They'll call you and pick you, so that you go along with them.
Is that what they did?
No.
So I'm saying that
they have not fulfilled their promises.
Don't worry about that. You see, when you want to, you need something from somebody. You understand? Understand how the person works, and then fashion yourself to fit into how the person works. If you apply that, I want an industrial sewing machine. You understand? You are precise with what you want. If you say sewing machine, the person can go and buy a domestic sewing machine for you that you cannot use. You understand?
But can I chip in a little?
Please do.
You know, we have inferior machines in town.
That is what I'm saying.
And you know, because if you who are going to benefit the machine are not with them, so they can just buy something.
I am guiding you as to what
is the best.
Hold on. That is why I am guiding you how to present your information to them. You don't just present information to say, I want a sewing machine. It is vague. He can buy any type of sewing machine for you. It is a sewing machine. So state that I want an industrial Singer sewing machine. Good. So if you state that you want an industrial Singer sewing machine, there is a standard for an industrial Singer sewing machine. And that is what they are required to get for you. That aside, the suggestion that my brother made here earlier, I think going forward we have to push that. We have to also go a step further to have a catalog of the kind of materials or equipment that you really need for the various kind of works that you do, and present it to the assembly, so that the assembly will know that if we're talking about sewing machine, this is the category of sewing machine that we are talking about. If we are talking about maybe leather, this is the type of leather that we are talking about. Fabric, this is the type of fabric that we are talking about. Container, kiosk, this is the type. So you have a standard that you have presented to the assembly. They cannot deviate from it. As it is, there is no standard that they are judging themselves against. There's nothing on paper for them. Now, for me, as a member of parliament, if I want to purchase something per the system that the AMA is using now, when I say I want to buy rice, I have to state the type of rice. They will have to check in their system whether this type of rice is captured.
The procurement processes must be followed to the level.
And so it is detailed. I don't believe in your sector they have done that.
Can we trust you to raise this on the floor of the House?
It's not about raising it. They should have that.
Well, but you can raise it as well. Can we trust you to raise it on our behalf?
That is no problem.
From your corner.
That is no problem.
Okay.
That is not a problem
at all. Thank you very much.
But you see, it becomes more powerful when, as an institution,
I agree,
they have also brought something that they believe this is what we want.
Let's go to Joshua. Joshua makes me Mr. Mensah on this particular one. Joshua, take a bit. So he says that you should push for a standardization of what you need. Over time, we know that people would come for sewing machines, fridges, and this. We should push for a standardization, so that when you are making an application, you know that, well, when I say fridge, this is what I am getting. How does that come to you?
Yeah, but I think what he's saying is right. With my brothers assertion that if you say what you want, they will carry you to the market, then you go and show it and they will buy it for you. Let's say you are bringing someone from Talency to come and buy a machine, I cry here. It's not possible. And it is not only in the disability fraternity that supplies are being made.
Right.
Supplies are made to other organizations.
Okay.
And the beneficiaries don't follow the supplier. It's just a matter of we getting what we want, as he's saying. And when those things are streamlined and we have them documented.
Can we put a policy together, a proposal together from your end?
Yeah, it should be possible.
Can we put, Mr. Benson, let's have your thoughts on this one. You work with them, you make beads and sandals and all manner of things. I'm sure that they have made certain requests that have not been granted to help their work. Do you support the proposal by Honorable Ahmed Arthur that we should have a standardization of what we need?
Oh, yes, I do. As I indicated earlier on, we need a business desk everywhere as to where persons with disability work.
Okay.
So there will be a technical advice to them. Social welfare should have it.
Okay.
The AMA should have it. The member of parliament's office should also have it.
Okay.
So before the presentation of their demand, a business officer goes through it and advise.
Okay.
Before it gets to the officer handling the common fund. If that is not done, we'll be going around the circle.
Right.
And another thing that I suggested, that is the job bank. Okay. About 50% of our brothers and sisters will be supported if we have the job bank.
Okay.
Because we have a lot of them doing the same thing, like dressmaking and tailoring.
Right.
Why can't we have a job for a factory where they'll be employed and be paid? Work and pay.
Are you thinking of one district, one factory?
Somehow.
Okay.
And this is the president's vision, and we are ready to support the president's vision. Okay. We have the location here in, at Medina.
Okay.
And my board members are ready to support the president and come down to the MP standard. That we have a job bank here, that is 1D, 1F here, tailoring and dressmaking and leather works.
Great.
We'll be ready to start as soon as possible.
We'll go to the other issues. Madam Christina Jah is a board member, GSST. Madam, welcome. How much have you spent so far from your pocket, considering the fact that you don't get governmental support to run this place? I'm curious to know.
I can't exactly tell.
You must be very rich.
No, I'm not, but I'm trying my best. Yes.
So how deep is it drinking into your pocket? I'm curious to know.
It's because of the love that we have for the center. Yes, so we dip our hands deep into our pockets to make this center go on. But I can't give the exact figure that I have spent so far.
Your board chairman says you are comfortable doing this philanthropic work, and that even if the government doesn't come, you are okay. Do you support that?
No, I don't think so.
You don't. You disagree with the board chairman.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, the board chairman asked you if you are comfortable. He said yes, you are very comfortable. When the mayor was here, he said you are very comfortable. No. So you are not comfortable.
No, we've been trying our best. We go around our friends, institutions, to seek for support.
Do you get this support?
Yeah, sometimes.
Okay.
But in difficulty, yes, we have to talk a lot, convince them, for them to know what we are doing here.
Right.
Sometimes they even come here to see what we are doing.
Right.
Before they give us support.
I see.
Yes.
Okay, let's go back to the MP, because he needs to respond to some of the concerns that have been raised.
1 minute, please. We as board members, we've initiated a project that gives us weekly and monthly income.
Okay, tell me
That's
about
the process. We have an event center.
Okay.
People rent the location for parties, weddings, etc., etc. We have a football park. We have a volleyball park. People use it for a fee.
Okay.
Yeah, and that is as an import to Kadeshi. What we do here. So technically, we don't lack too much as people would think.
We have
of.
a business mind to running the association. Okay,
we have a shop right in front here.
I see.
And we will ask the honorable member.
No, he will buy a pair of sandals.
He will buy two today.
Yeah. Two. Only two.
Yeah, two.
No, he bought rice, so he will buy more so that he can. Right. Anyway, honorable, let's come back to you now. So then this other gentleman is talking about the difficulty in, after he's done training, the difficulty in trying to get up a place to set up. The traditional authority comes and says, look, the land belongs to us, we want to rent it out to you, even though social welfare has given it to them. And then he talks about the fact that when promises are made on the campaign platform, they are not fulfilled, and then they are excluded. What are your responses, quickly?
Anyway, regarding the issue about where they place their containers, I think that one they have to liaise with the assembly to make sure that assembly helps them get suitable places to place their containers. That aside, his challenge is an isolated one, that has to do with the place he has cited his container and the conflict with the chiefs. I just heard about it, so I'm going to dig deep into it and see what I can do to help resolve that particular matter.
Okay.
Beyond that, promises being made and they being neglected, I don't know much about that, unless maybe he's specific
He
about
said he
it.
doesn't see you. They don't see you here. Like you agreed. You agreed that you have been away.
Sure. I've already.
And the
alluded
promise
to
was
that.
you'll be here because he told me in confidence before we started that they had their 60th anniversary and they didn't see you.
Sure, they invited me. Unfortunately, as at the time they invited me, the chairman brought the letter to me. When I checked the date, it coincided with a program that we had already fixed in Kumasi. I should have communicated to him. I failed to do so.
Okay.
But that is past. Let's chart a new course forward. Going forward, I'm also assuring them.
Okay.
My doors are open.
Right.
Should they have any need to call on me, I'm ready to receive them and support them.
Right.
In any way I can.
Let's talk about the pavements that Ms. Doche talked about.
Sure.
The fact that the people are walking on the streets now, as you can tell. The pavements have been taken over.
That's the
What's the solution?
It's the responsibility of the assembly.
But you sit on the assembly too, don't you?
No, I don't.
You are not an ex-official?
I am an ex-official member at the assembly. I don't have any power in the assembly. Okay. The assembly is decentralized.
Right.
In Okankwe South, we have a sub-metro.
Absolutely.
That is in charge of the...
But if you are an ex-official, you can make an input and advise them. You may not have voting power, but you can advise them.
I can suggest.
Yes.
But they will have to implement.
Have you suggested?
Everybody knows my stance about pavements. Pavements are not places where I will allow structures to be.
You've been two-time assemblyman.
You can,
and
that
the
one I
pavements
can leave
have
it.
been taken
I can
over.
leave it for Auntie Christie to attest to that.
Okay.
When I was the sub-metro chairman, you won't sell on a pavement. I won't give you that chance. She's here. She will tell you. When I was the sub-metro chairman, it's a simple policy. Pavements are for pedestrians and like my lady said, disabled people to walk on. So I will not allow you to sell on the pavement or take the pavement from Circle to La Paz.
Okay.
Almost every month I was in motion clearing people from the pavement. I honestly, I would say I didn't make a good name for myself when I was in the assembly because I won't allow you to do that.
So it was a thing that was restricted to you at the time when you were the helm of affairs.
Sure.
But the assembly doesn't have a policy.
It is a policy. That is why I could implement it.
To say that. So what changed?
You see, the leadership of institutions as we are developing is very key. It is not so much of the institutions now. It is the leadership. And when you have a leader who believes that the policy must be implemented to the latter, that is fantastic. If you just leave the policy on its own, who will implement it? You should have somebody who can stand by his words and demand that there shouldn't be any activity on this pavement.
Right.
When I was the sub-metro chairman, from Kaneshi Police Station to North Kaneshi last stop, that road is called Palace Street.
Right.
And I said, when you go to Kumasi, Menchia Palace, the road in front of Menchia Palace, you dare not do any trading activity on that road.
Right.
And so it was my responsibility to make sure nobody sells on this prime street.
Right.
If you do it, and I clear you and you come back, I'll let Auntie Christie take you to court.
Right.
That is how I was operating. If I take action once, twice, three times, and you don't respond, I will mind you. Auntie Christie will take you to court. There used to be a church in the yard here.
Right.
The neighbors around were complaining bitterly. I instructed her to take the church to court to stop them. There were so many churches in my vicinity that we took them to court to make sure that they bring the decimal levels down.
Right.
So you see, the laws are there.
Let's talk about implementing the law on if you will, I know that education is key to you, very critical to you. And I know that you rode onto power doing free classes and distributing mass sets and all of that. So education is paramount to you. But I've checked the results of the constituency from Awudome to Numo School to whichever place. And I've seen that the standards are falling. Has it come to your attention as well?
It has.
Are you worried about it?
I am so worried about it.
What's your plan?
My plan is this gentleman standing there, James Brown. I have charged him to recruit the human resource that we need to tackle this problem head on. And that we are going to do this term going. Because we have relaxed over a period, and we have to quickly bounce back and ensure that we give our kids the required support to make sure that the level of education is raised a notch higher. Sometimes too, it's not that they are not really knowledgeable, but going to write the exams, you need people to prep them,
right?
And to psychologically get them into that mode that will enable them go and face the exams.
Okay.
And so that has been the challenge, and we are going to deal with it anytime soon.
Okay. Sure. Now, speaking of which, I'm concerned about a library that has sat idle for close to 12 years. I'm sure you very much know about this. I'm sure in 2016, when we had the Election Command Center debate at the Kaneshi Market, we spoke about the library, and we quickly saw that it was cleared. We went to paint the place, but the library is still not functional after 10 years. What again is your plan?
Okay, the library issue, it's become a recurrent fixture in every encounter I have with the media and then the public. And so last year we took a bold step to fix the library. As we speak, the library is fully fitted with about 40 computers.
Okay.
And then a projector.
Are there books?
And no, it's a computer library.
Okay.
But what we have done initially is that because it is not properly fitted for public use, we have pooled it for the schools around.
Okay.
Just like you rightly said, our standard of the level of education and then the final year BEC results keeps falling.
Right.
And so what we have done is that for the final year students, we have pulled it for the schools around, and they are using it. Because it will interest you to note that there are so many kids in their final year going to write their final exams, and they have not touched a computer before.
So the kids are using the library now?
That is what is
Which
happening.
schools are using them?
Oh, the government schools around. We've pulled it for them. The OIC is the one who has done the program.
Okay. And who's running the library?
The OIC. The schools have a computer. Every school has a computer teacher. ICT teacher.
Right.
And so they bring their kids and they come and use the facility because the facility.
So if I go there now, we'll see people using the library.
I'm sure you have to find out the time they come.
Okay.
Because they have times that they come. Every school have a timetable.
Right.
And the time allotted for ICT. So the final students, the time allotted for ICT, they come here to come and do their ICT studies. But here you have the computers and everything. So that is what we've done now.
Okay, I'll make it a project to come around next week with my TV cameras to come and see if the library is functional. But I also got wind that there's a Maslock office in that place.
Yes.
Is that correct?
It is. We have two structures.
Why is it so?
No, we have two structures.
Yes.
One structure is for the main library facility that is fully fitted and being used for that purpose.
Okay.
You understand? The government, in its effort to meet the social needs of the public, decided that it was going to support people with Maslock.
Right.
Maslock did not have an office in this constituency.
Okay.
And so the government decided that the second building, which is not in use, the Maslock should take one office in that building.
But if I remember, I know that Honorable Akomia constructed the first one. You constructed the second one.
Nana Akomia started the second one as well.
Okay,
I came to
you
complete
completed it. But
Yeah.
the first one, the initiative was that we're going to have physical books in the first one, and then a computer library in the second one. Is that plan still being followed, or we abandoned it?
That plan is still in use, but there's a little change now.
Tell me about it.
The change now is that we are relocating the Maslock office to the sub-metro.
Okay.
When their office is ready there, they will be relocated to that place. We want to use the first building as a more of like a vocational training center.
Okay.
Where we'll provide training for adults in other, practical related areas.
Right.
So that is what we want to use that building for.
We're wrapping up the conversation, Chief. I'll take 30 seconds from you, from everybody around the table, and then we'll have a presentation. Quickly, what are your closing thoughts?
Well, my closing thought is I want the Honorable Minister to take these issues to court.
The Honorable MP is not a minister. Slow down.
Take it to Parliament. Take it to Parliament to us.
Okay.
Because the issues can talk. You can talk about it now. Maybe at the end of it, you will not see the implementation.
Okay.
So I wanted to take it to the.
So you want to see implementation.
Yeah.
So he speaks about it in Parliament to give implementation. Joshua, you have the closing thought now. What's on your mind?
I am still calling for a full-scale assessment of the implementation of the Common Fund to persons with disability.
Right.
And I want to urge those of us working in the disability fraternity, we should not be that greedy that when the money comes, the entire 3% should be disbursed to people. There are some other issues like the GFD and then the National Council on Persons with Disability. At least we can seed a component of this money to build up these institutions. And when they become effective, that is where we can realize the full benefit of this fund.
Thank you. Mr. Mensah?
Yes, mine has to do the implementation and support for the proposed job bank.
Okay.
That will take about 50 to 60% of our brothers and sisters.
Job bank?
Job bank, yes. One here in Kaneshi and one in Medina.
Okay.
That will take about 50 to 60% of our brothers and sisters off the streets.
Right.
And also to support the Common Fund. The Common Fund should be channeled partly to support the job bank.
The mayor said he would look at that one.
Thank you. And we are ready to support him.
I see. Auntie Christy, what are your closing thoughts?
I want to tell the Honorable MP that we are going to put a lot of pressure on him to deliver on his promises.
Blood pressure is not treatable. It's managed. So don't go and give him pressure. Okay. Thank you. Honorable, I'm sure you can have a closing thought. The people are going to put pressure on you. But they are hoping that you raise this in Parliament. But a curiosity, if the library is functional, why don't we have a signage in front like we have here to say that these are the hours they operate? And
we are going to do that.
Okay. When are you doing that?
As
I said, next week I'll come with my camera. So
by next, we are entering next month.
Right.
In the next week.
Right.
By the end of next month, like I said, we are trying to relocate the Maslock office as well.
Okay.
So it's a whole lot of activities put together.
But by next month.
And we just came out of the Christmas season, so the funds are difficult to come by now.
Right.
And so we'll have to give ourselves a little time to put funds together.
Signage
it takes money to do it.
How much? What's your estimate?
Oh, no, not less.
If I announce it on radio, we can get help.
No, don't worry about
What's your estimate? No,
don't worry about that. We'll take care of it.
So what's the timeline?
Oh, by the end of next month.
By the end of February.
Sure.
That's 28 February. That's much.
Sure.
Thank you
Sure.
very much. But
Sure.
you have a presentation to make to Mr. Mensah and his team here.
Good.
What have you brought?
We brought them some bags of rice.
Okay. Okay, this is 3FM 92.7. There's a very special edition of Community Connect coming to you live from the Ghana Society for the Socially Disadvantaged. My name is Johnny Hughes, and we're wrapping up in a few minutes, but the issues critically that we've discussed include how the disbursement of a 3% allocation to the Common Fund for persons with disability has been put out here in this particular area, and we've heard the views and comments. Of course, we're getting some action points from the Mayor of Accra, from the incumbent MP, from the board itself, and I'm sure we can put it to good use. But right now, there's a presentation about to happen. Honorable, take it over.
Okay, so I have here 3 bags of rice, and then 2 cartons of soap to present to my brothers and sisters, and then a cash of 1,000 cedis to the institution. So this is what we have for you.
I see.
Just to assure you that this is just the beginning. I'm going to put in place a system where monthly I'm going to add you to my philanthropic list, and then we'll also come and donate something to you at the end of every month, God willing. So
Most
this is what we are here to support you.
Mr. Mensah, a few words from you, I'm sure.
Thank you, Honorable Amadata. This is good news to my brothers and sisters here, and we sincerely thank him for his support and the supports to come. And we wish him well in his next step of action, and we are ready to support him move on. And we hope next year he'll be made an MP and Minister of State as well.
Most grateful. So, on that note, would like to end the program here. Well, thank you very much, Honorable Amenatha, for your time. I thank you very much, Madam Chris Naja, for your time. Mr. Mensah, thank you very much. Chief, thank you very much for your time. We thank the Honorable Mayor of Accra, Nia Joshua, who joined us earlier, Mr. Joshua Makubo, and everybody else who came to support. On behalf of the production team, Richard Bright, Ado, Odro Denchi, Jonathan, Sarah Parker, Richard Nia J, and Nidela. We thank everybody else who's been part of this production. I know that we will go to the next community and talk about the most critical issues as it applies to you. My name is John Hughes. I'm your community rights advocate, and this has been Community Connect.